The legendary banner for June 2021 is coming soon. As always, these monthly banners have a starting 8% 5-star focus rate, and the non-focus rate is always 0%. The only 5 stars you can get are these 12 heroes, which we will be going over today. First, you have our newest legendary hero, and it's going to be legendary Byleth. Like in Smash, we got too many swordsmen in Fire Emblem, so Byleth went on a journey of enlightenment and found that the answer to his problem was magic. Magic is indeed everything, and legendary Byleth will be a green infantry mage. Why green? Well, I guess he's got greenish hair, and well, it's a pretty good color for certain reasons, as we will discuss. Byleth will also be another water legendary pair-up hero. For all skills, you can get a peek at Byleth's skill set. He comes with attack and defense ideal 4, stolen straight from Fallen Edelgard, and well, I hope you're familiar with it by now. He then has low attack and res 3, solid skills for mages. Last, Byleth is going to have times pulse, not much of a surprise since this is his Enlightened One Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan class. For his unique tome, legendary Byleth has the Professorial Text. Didn't even know professorial was a word. Regardless, for this class syllabus, Professorial Text will be a 14-minute tome that exploits specials. If Byleth initiates combos within 2 spaces of an ally, he gets +5 total stats, and if Byleth's speed is greater than the foe's speed during combat, neutralize effects that guarantee the foe's follow-up attacks, and effects that prevent the user's follow-up attacks. In other words, no follow-up 3. Then for all allies within 2 spaces, they also gain no follow-up if they outspeed their opponent. So for Byleth, he gets faster specials, more stats, and no follow-up via a speed check. Pretty standard stuff, although Byleth does need to work for no follow-up versus his creator's sword, which just has it all the time. Legendary Byleth is probably going to be fast, so this should not be a problem versus slow bulky units who rely on free follow-ups or have worry fighter effects. Against faster threats, they don't really have these effects, so no follow-up isn't as important since it's pretty much just a regular speed battle anyway. The craziest part of Professorial Text is that the AoE drive no follow-up buff is for any ally. That is kind of nuts. First off, no follow-up is literally locked to infantry units, so now the 3 other classes can get access to it. This is fantastic for pretty much anyone since there's no shortage of units who get free follow-up attacks, and it can counter impact skills for your opposed users. Since you have to be near Byleth, this is more of a defensive benefit, but for example, these speedy sword masters can also make use of it. Free no follow-up allows them to run different B skills like dodge skills or lulls. Now, this is not going to help everyone. You need to win a speed check, meaning your unit needs some level of decent speed. There are some super slow units who get free follow-ups like Duso, so they shouldn't be an issue, but you got to be careful if you're trying to stop middling speed units with things like impact skills. Next, we have Byleth's, I think, unique special, Sublime Heaven. Boost damage by 25% of Byleth's attack stat on a 2 cooldown. If the foe is a dragon or beast unit, boost damage by 50% of attack instead. Last, Sublime Heaven disables non-special skills that reduce damage by X percentage. Oh boy, so I'm pretty sure Sublime Heaven is not going to be inheritable unlike Ruptured Sky, and it acts like Draconic Aura and Dragon Fang instead of basing damage off the foe's attack stat. You just want to pump Byleth's attack stat as high as possible, and Sublime Heaven is a slightly weaker Draconic Aura on a 2 cooldown instead of 3. If you fight a dragon or beast foe though, then it's flat out just Dragon Fang. Legendary Byleth will also be able to pre-charge Sublime Heaven every player phase because it will be on a 1 cooldown thanks to his weapon, and he has times pulse. So with a pre-charged Draconic Aura / Dragon Fang, Byleth also ignores damage reduction skills. It is insanely clear that he is meant to take Fallen Edelgard down a peg, but like any other pre-charging special units, you gotta be real careful about letting them attack first. If Byleth initiates, he'll fire Sublime Heaven, but if he gets hit back, then he can recharge Sublime Heaven, and he can fire off his second salvo. I am expecting Byleth to be pretty fast, and they have no follow-up, so slower tanks are gonna need to watch out if they don't have guard. Let's talk more about legendary Byleth and who he may be able to counter, starting with Fallen Edelgard. The newest OP game-breaking monster has caused major problems in every mode, so the professor's here to dish out some detention. In theory, legendary Byleth has a lot of things going for him against Fallen 80. First off, he deals magic damage and res Edelgard's lower defensive stat, plus he has attack and defense ideal by default, meaning Byleth doesn't have to deal with that fat defense boost. By pre-charging Sublime Heaven, Byleth completely ignores the special fighter guard effect that Armored Wall has. Sublime Heaven will also have Dragon Fang damage since Edelgard is a beast unit. Last, Sublime Heaven neutralizes Armored Wall's 40% damage reduction on first hits. All of this together kinda signals that Byleth should be able to initiate, proc Sublime Heaven, and finish the fight in one shot. He wins the speed check easily to proc no follow-up, so he can attack twice, and he can run Windsweep to avoid distant counter. Now, the question is, but is that enough? Honestly, I'm not sure. I did some quick maths, and non-merge Byleth should be able to one-shot plus 10 Fallen Edelgard. The issue is that AD can get a lot more HP and res you may need to account for, and the one-shot is already really close with her base HP values. If she's getting more HP from blessings, then Byleth needs to match it with more attack. Not to mention, even though he can attack twice, if you don't have guard, Edelgard is just going to counter back with bonfire, and pretty sure it's game over at that point. Despite 1v1 combat, Byleth can also allow other units to fight Edelgard thanks to no follow-up. That in itself may be just as helpful. The fallen Edelgard hero's phase saga is definitely not over, but Legendary Byleth has a way better fighting chance than most. Now, Edelgard isn't the only student who has been causing problems. Mr. Legendary Claude has certainly made a name thanks to Fallen Star's absurd 80% damage reduction. While Byleth probably isn't super tanky, he should have enough defense thanks to the +5 from his weapon and the +7 or +9 from attack and defense ideal to tank one hit from Claude. Usually you do not want to let Claude attack first since he'll get 80% damage reduction. However, pre-charged Sublime Heaven does not care about this at all, and Claude is much more vulnerable without Fallen Star's protection. Next we have Legendary Dimitri. Unfortunately for him, his res is not great, and Byleth has the color advantage as a green unit. Sublime Heaven once again does not care about Eredbar's 40% damage reduction dodge, although Byleth may be able to not keep up in speed anyway. As a plus, if Dimitri does attack someone else, Atrocity's Pulse Smoke is not going to mess up Sublime Heaven, since Time's Pulse will recharge anyway come the next turn. Unlike Claude, you probably just want to initiate on Dimitri first. Now Legendary Byleth pretty much screws over all the Dimitris for these same reasons. They're all blue, they all have terrible res, and for Brave Dimitri, his damage reduction also goes out the window with a Sublime Heaven proc. Turns out detention's not just for kids though, cause Byleth also messes with Seros pretty badly as well. Color advantage for Byleth, and while Seros has high res, she is a dragon, so Sublime Heaven's gonna get extra damage. It also neutralizes Dragon Wall's 40% damage reduction. Maybe there's a pattern here. Last, if you do need it, Byleth has no follow-up to double, and by default Seros does not have distant counter. If you're really worried, you could run Water Sweep, but Byleth will also be able to stop Seros from doubling on the player phase. As you can see, the power of the protagonist buff is pretty dang strong. Overall, Legendary Byleth is definitely going to be good. Pre-charged specials are always annoying to fight, and he can pivot to the good old Wind Sweep plus no follow-up tactic if you want. Byleth seems to have a sort of go for the one-shot KO type playstyle, but that's mainly just because certain units like Fallen Edelgard are just way too dangerous. He should be fast, but if you want to keep up with the other speed demons, you're gonna probably need to swap out some skills. Hopefully his defense and res are somewhat balanced, kind of like Legendary Claude's. It's pretty funny that he still attacks with the Sword of the Creator, and his wind magic seems to toss random items at the enemy. People are thinking it's all the lost items from the monastery, and in the Japanese version of the trailer there's a letter with a red stamp, which could be a fun jab at Byleth's Smash Bros invite. Will I be trying to get Legendary Byleth myself? Try yes. I didn't get a share last month, which sucks, although I got myself Legendary Claude, and wow, Fallen Star is a little addicting to use. I would love to get Byleth to mess around with AoE no follow-up, since no follow-up continues to just be incredibly strong. Let's now continue with the 11 other heroes on this banner. For red we have Plumeria, Leif, and Annand. Blue has Nott, who came out earlier this month, and then Legendary Julia and Erinys. Green has Legendary Byleth with Dagr and Hell. Last, Colorless is real good with Bramimond, Legendary Leif, and Legendary Alm. Mythic Plumeria is going to be a red flying mage and an extra mythic hero. She's a dancer who provides buffs, and when she dances, she also inflicts debuffs on the nearest foes. She has really high attack and res, so she can lay down some damage if you need a little bit of magic. Plumeria will have attack and res push 4 for even more attack and res stacking, and she can debuff with sabotage speed. Last, she also comes with attack and res rain for your flying mages and dragons. Next is Mythic Leif, who's an infantry sword unit and an animal mythic hero. His sword grants a general stat boost and a guaranteed follow-up attack, but his allies are going to take a hefty 20 damage every time he fights. Open the Future is a bonfire that heals, and Daily Balance inflicts attack and defense debuffs while granting +1 special charge when Leif gets hit. For inheritable skills, you can then grab Distant Counter and Time's Pulse, both great options. Last, we have Annand from earlier this year. She's a flying sword unit with a pretty balanced spread of stats. She has the Unbound Blade Plus, which is inheritable and inflicts attack and defense debuffs while disabling the foe's attack and defense buffs. It's a solo based weapon, and it's basically the sword version of the pirate weapons. For inheritable skills, Annand has Sturdy Impact and Guard Bearing. Both are pretty good skills. In general, if you want some fodder, the red group has a nice selection. Next, for the blue group, we have Mythic Nott, who is a dark mythic hero. She's a lance infantry unit with a ton of attack and speed. And Foxy grants more stats and basically has bonus doubler built in. It also has the devastating Pathfinder effect to let allies move through Nott's space for free, which is awful since she's a defense hero. Very powerful and very annoying. For Nott's Moon Twin Wing Beast skill, she inflicts attack and speed debuffs and gets dodge. She also goes nicely with Legendary Byleth's AoE no follow buff. For inheritable skills, Nott has distant counter, and then she is the only holder of attack and speed menace. Second is Legendary Julia, who's a blue infantry mage with a bunch of attack and res. Julia stacks a bunch of both with Virtuous Nagas, which is also effective against dragons. Light and Dark is basically a super low skill working on all 4 stats, and it disables adaptive damage, which allows Julia to take on dragons safely. For inheritable skills, Mirror Impact and Attack and Res Oath are great for just more and more attack and resistance. Last is Erinys, who's a flying lance unit. She also has good attack and speed stats, and her Celeste Frost lance grants more both. If she initiates combat within 2 spaces of her support partner, she also attacks twice, so you gotta watch out for that. For inheritable skills, Erinys has a lot of good stuff. Harsh Command plus the tier 4 blue dual flying skill, chill attack and speed 2 if you want it, and then attack and defense rain. Blue is also not bad in terms of skill fodder, and it's a second chance to get Nott. Third, we start green with Legendary Byleth, who we've talked about enough. Byleth doesn't have any new inheritable skills, but they're all pretty good. Attack and defense ideal 4 is the rarest, and sadly you're going to need all 4 skill inheritance slots to get it. Low attack and res and times pulse are great skills as always. Next is Mythic Dagr, who is a light mythic hero and an axe infantry unit. Much like her sister, lots of attack and speed, and her axe grants more general stats and Pathfinder. Instead of bonus doubler, it counteracts stat debuffs, and for Sun Twin Wing, it does have no follow-up built in. If you want some inheritable skills, Dagr is the only one with even Tempest for extra movement, and attack and speed push 4 is a staple A skill option. Last is Mythic Hell, who is a dark mythic and a flying axe unit. She also has high attack and speed, and her weapon grants faster specials and neutralizes fire effectiveness. Hell will also tank a fatal hit if she does not get hit by a tome or staff user. Pretty annoying to deal with. Against non-mages or healers, she also targets their res stats, so you gotta watch out for that one as well. For her unique C skill, Inevitable Death, Hell gets a super range skill, just debuffs all 4 stats. She then has Distant Counter and Guard Bearing if you want some fodder. If you're going for Legendary Byleth, you can get some pretty sweet mythic heroes, and there's some pretty good fodder as well. Last up, we have a stacked colorless group. Mythic Bramimond is a dark mythic and a colorless infantry mage. His Void Tome is a bit wonky, but basically against foes with more than 50 attack, he gets plus 5 attack, defense, and res. If the foe has more than 35 speed, Bramimond also makes a follow-up attack. Both are also working on foes with penalties on them. This combos with his impenetrable dark C skill, which disables all skills not on the target Bramimond is fighting. Insanely powerful ability since all support debuffs disappear, including Legendary Byleth's no follow buff. For inheritable skills, you can grab attack and defense push 4 and low attack and res again. Next is Legendary Leif, a colorless cavalry archer with high attack. His bow is a dual phase brave bow, and his unique special allows Leif to move again, kind of like Gale Force, but it's only limited to 1 space. Leif also has his S-Strength beast skill to fill heal each new map, and it also grants -1 special cooldown. With Defense Smoke, Leif can take advantage of the debuffs when he moves again, and attack and res push 4 is nice for more stats. Leif can be real dangerous with all the mobility shenanigans from this year. Last is Legendary Alm, who's a colorless infantry archer, still a dangerous archer with the right skills. Alm's Luminous Arc deals true damage equal to 25% of the foe's defense stat on every hit. His Lunar Flash special is like a mini Moonbow and Ragnar Astra combined. For inheritable skills, Alm also has Darting Blow 4, which is generally not that great compared to something like Swift Sparrow 3. No follow-up is still good if you need it to deal with annoying skills, and Odd Attack Wave is for those self-buffs. Colorless group is pretty good if you want some strong units. Honestly, all 4 color groups are not bad if you're going for good characters or fodder. Obviously, Legendary Byleth is the new hotness, but we also got both Pathfinder sisters here as well. Do you still have any orbs left, or did you guys spend it all on the first summer banner? I think we should see this trailer for the second summer banner before this Legendary banner is over, but it's going to be right before it ends. Good luck if you are summoning, and I'll see you in the next video.